Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley, this is the Nerdy Nurse Adventures. I am so stoked for you guys to join me today. So I am going to be talking a little bit about Miss Marvel. So if you haven't had the chance to see Miss Marvel on Disney Plus, stop the video right here, right now. Spoilers. Go watch it, turn on Disney Plus, binge watch all 6 episodes, then come back and check out my video. I don't want to spoil anything for you, and I want you to enjoy the show as much as I did. So, here we go. I want to start off by saying that I think they did a spectacular job with the show. The casting of all the characters was wonderful. They did a good job translating a story and putting it into a TV show, which MCU in the past has not always been the best with some of their TV shows, specifically their Netflix ones. Unpopular opinion, but there aren't many Netflix series that I've overly been like, this is something I love. And so far, Miss Marvel has done that for me. So, spoiler alert, guys. We're going to be talking about the show, and we're going to be talking about the comic book. I'm going to tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, and some similarities and differences from the comic book to the show. I will say I very much enjoyed the show and the comic book. They're different though, and kind of in a good way. The MCU has made some choices that are going to isolate Kamala Khan from the comic book version of herself, so that way they can open the door for some characters that I think are coming to the MCU, which we're all going to be pretty excited about if who I think is coming is coming. So let's first talk about how Kamala gets her powers. This is a difference from the TV show to the comics. So Kamala in the comic books actually gets her powers from an activation of her Inhuman gene from the Terrigen Mist. So if you've watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or seen Inhumans, which was not very popular, the Terrigen Mist kind of surfaces there. However, we learn at the end of Miss Marvel that it actually activates her mutant gene. More on that to come in a little bit. That opens a whole new door, which we all kind of suspected was coming from Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, but separate conversation for a little bit. So she has these powers from the Terrigen Mist, and they're different. In the TV series, she gets her powers from an activation of her mutant gene from her bangle that she wears, which is like a family heirloom that's passed down from her great-grandmother. I love the telling of that passing on. I think it's really beautiful. That honor to your family is so important, and I love the touching of that in this story. It's so important. I will say, however, Kamala's powers that get activated in the TV series is really just kind of this crystal light that she's able to throw and utilize to her advantage. The unfortunate part is, not until the very last episode do we see the true potential of her powers, which is just a small glimpse of what she actually has in the comic books. So in the comic books, she has the ability to what is called embiggen. So she can make her hands super large. She's able to actually make herself ginormous or super small, kind of like Ant-Man, Hank Pym kind of powers. Then she has the ability to actually change her overall physical appearance. The first emergence of her powers, she actually looks like Captain Marvel. People think she's in a Captain Marvel costume. They tell her she's done a wonderful job. Why I wish they had included... Sorry, so my SD card was full, so I had to change that out, so I apologize. So where were we? So I really wish that the MCU had included acknowledgement of how her powers had the ability to change her overall physical appearance. Here's why. I think it's important to talk about some of the self-confidence issues that Kamala has in the comic book. It makes her even more relatable than she already is in the show. So as a girl who is a very nerdy girl, not necessarily accepted always by her peers or feeling like an outsider in different social groups, it is so important to have those role models for girls. And I think that please don't get me wrong. Kamala Khan is a wonderful role model in Miss Marvel. I just wish that they had included a little bit more of her story from the comic book because it would have made her that much more relatable for all of us watching the show. So I think part of why Kamala, the full extent of Miss Marvel's powers, is not expounded upon in the show is because we don't want to mimic other characters in the MCU that are hopefully coming. So if you've seen Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, you saw Reed Richards, you saw Mr. Fantastic. He's got the ability to stretch his limbs really crazy. He's got this like elastic ability. Miss Marvel can do that too, in a way, and I think that they wanted to stray away from that so we didn't have character overlap in future films and television series. Additionally, she kind of reminds me then of Miss Incredible as Elastigirl, and we don't want to step on that in the Disney franchise either, right? So I'm not overly disappointed that they got rid of that. However, I feel like we did a bit of a disservice by not fully opening up all of her powers that she has. That being said, enough with the differences. Similarities, we have Kamala has a very similar personality to her character in the comic book, which I loved. We still get to meet all of the same characters. Her parents are heavily involved in the story. Her friends remain the same. Zoe is even a character, although a little bit different how she saves Zoe in the comic book compared to the television series. Not bad, just different. And I gotta say, her going to the Avenger Con in the beginning was such a joy. As a person who's like just signed up to go to Boston Con here in just a short couple weeks, I'm like excited to see this like pro-con behavior normalized in television shows. Like, it's just great to see. I'm speechless. Additionally, I'm hoping that we're going to keep some of the same characters, by the way, that we got in the show. I also want to take a second to talk about the very end credit scene of Miss Marvel. So Captain Marvel shows up. I'm a fan, clearly. People think that this is like a nod to her being able to change her appearance. Other people are like, what is happening? I think, and I've heard other people suggest that she's actually switching places. So that's actually Captain Marvel, and Kamala Khan has switched places with the Captain Marvel, which is why she looks so confused when she gets out and is like, what has happened? So is this some sort of multiversal glitch? You know, this is coming just after Doctor Strange. I don't know. Like, I'm so curious to see where this is going to go for Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel, because I think it's going to be excellent. I can't contain my excitement. So we don't get her ability to get really large or shrink down really small, at least in the TV show thus far. That's not to say that we're not going to get this eventually in some other film or TV show. However, very last episode, episode 6, we get to see the embiggenment of her hands happen. So cool, because this is how she is portrayed in the comic books. So this is an ability that I think is going to be really unique coming forward. I will also say that there's some other character arcs that don't get developed. So like Bruno's story doesn't get as developed in one regard. So like Bruno's brother actually is working with the villains in the comic books. So we get a different villain from comic book to television. Kamala is the introduction of the mutants to the MCU. If you're an X-Men fan like I am, I'm so stoked that mutants are here. I know that she's an Inhuman in the comic books, but we've changed things up a little bit and made her a mutant. This is so exciting. We knew this was coming. If you've seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, we knew mutants were coming when we saw Professor X. We just didn't know how soon, and we didn't know what that was going to look like. Some people are a little angry that it's Miss Marvel, but I'm not about it.
I am so excited to see what the future of the MCU holds for Miss Marvel. I think that she's going to be a wonderful addition, and I'm also curious to see where the comics go and kind of do a continued comparison. If you have read Miss Marvel and seen the TV show and want to give your feedback, please give a comment in the comment section down below. It's greatly appreciated. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay weird, my friends. Bye for now.